I've just come back from Martinique and it was absolutely fabulous. I was really, really lucky to be invited to a festival called FIAP. FIAP is the Festival of International Arts Performance. Everyone thinks that art in the Caribbean is steel pan, calypso, a little bit of limbo, and they just associate it with tourism. But what was brilliant about this, it was a performance art festival that was putting the Caribbean on the map, and particularly Martinique, where it was challenging stereotypes, challenging issues around art, performance, intellect, movement. I decided that if we could just share some thoughts on what's happening in the Caribbean today, what's happening in terms of performance and dance. So here's a few voices and opinions of people who I met on my journey in Martinique at FIAP.
My name is Annabel Guérédrat. I'm the co-director of FIAP International Festival of Performance Art, and I'm also a performer choreographer.
My name is Henri, Tauliaut. I'm a visual artist.
The first time we built the festival was 2 years ago, in 2017, the FIAP, and we curated it in Martinique. This year in November, this is the second edition, and it is an international festival, so we invite people from outside and be working with local artists and see what's going on. Performance art is really radical. It's also to see how outside the carnival time we can have performance art as a kind of scientific and spiritual practice that we can practice during all the year. We can make it in a political way, but we can also make it in an artistic way. And I think performance is a good way, the good medium to do it.
Another way is it's a poetic way, and another thing that we need is our own story, our own representation.
To represent ourselves as we want it to be represented, and not the others represent us. And I think it's really, really important.
I'm Lily Way. I'm from New York. I'm an independent curator, art critic, journalist, and I'm also on the board of a number of nonprofit organizations. When I got the invitation from Annabel, I was delighted because I have been in the Caribbean. I have never been in Martinique, and I am particularly interested in seeing art scenes in places I am not familiar with, and with artists that I perhaps do not know yet. So, and I found that to be, throughout the years, the many years that I have been in the art world, to be a really rare and wonderful thing.
I am Marvin Fabian. I am a multimedia artist and academic researcher. The main intention, I think, for this festival is to include, I would say, different artists and backgrounds and culture, and to include them within the Caribbean space. I think it's important because the Caribbean space is a dynamic space. This festival also, I would think, questions the art of performance itself, because in the Caribbean we have performance art linking to what we call carnival and also popular theater. I think it's a good platform for the expression of different types of Caribbean artistic activities, and also the values and spiritual values and cultures which we find in the Caribbean.
My name is Lara Kramer. I'm a Montreal-based artist. I have mixed heritage. I'm Oji-Cree and settler heritage. I find the process of this festival, there's just a real immediacy in contact with the territory, the land, the community, and also the other artists that are here brought together. I thought the positioning of having the artists sort of congregate together early on very nourishing, and that I'm coming to a land that's not mine, and I come to with my histories and hearing a lot of the parallels, like of Canada and then Martinique, and you know, obviously major differences as well. Coming from a place of trying to be doing a deep listening and showing my appreciation to the community here, and just also the artists. I see the labor of love and the labor of care.
Hi, I'm Marlène Myrtil. I'm from Martinique. I'm a choreographer, dancer, teacher. I'm very happy to be here during this FIAP festival. For me, what is at most important is the fact that all the spaces outside of all the performances are free. It's an opportunity to discover something, to be there. You have to be real, because it's here and now. It's the nowness, which is very, very interesting. Nowness in the market, nowness in the theater, nowness everywhere, nowness on the port. That's good. Yeah.
So I'm Marina Barcijaner,
I'm Misil Solville.
and I come from Puerto Rico, but I'm based in Barcelona at the moment with EC.
I come from in Barcelona, Catalonia.
This is our first time in Martinica. For me personally, it's very emotional to be here, because I'm also Caribbean, right? But the Hispanic Caribbean. So it has been very interesting for me to see how it's very similar in some aspects and then very different in others to Puerto Rico. So basically depending on the colonizer of the islands. But how much effort is made for them to be fragmented, right? So this is what he has perceived by coming to Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic 2 years ago, and now here in Martinique, and what I've lived as a Puerto Rican all of my life. So being this my first time here is something that other people would say, oh, that's strange because you live close by, right? But that's not the reality.
My name is Fabienne Viala, and I'm an academic at the University of Warwick. I'm a reader in Hispanic and Caribbean Studies, and I participated in the FIAP in Martinique. The artists were coming from different parts of the Caribbean, the US, Canada, and all of them had a specific engagement with the Caribbean as a locale, as an environmental place to work the themes of the topic, whether it is a social justice, whether it is indigenous rights, whether it is gender balance, ritualization, spirituality, body politics. So pretty much a lot of themes were touched in ways that were very, very powerful. Most of the performances happen in public spaces. In the market square, for example, the vendors of the market were surprised at the performative propositions. It led to a very fruitful dialogue afterwards, and I think it shows how much FIAP it is a way to really address issues that touch everyone. A festival like FIAP is an incredibly strong way, powerful way to change things.
Hello, my name is Quinn Dukes. I am here from New York City, and I am here as a curatorial sponsor and media sponsor for Performances Alive and Satellite Art Show. And I'm really excited to be immersed within Martinique. This is my first time visiting, and the FIAP Festival has really allowed me to be fully immersed into the community, which I think is really quite integral to being able to understand the expansion and the power of performance and visual art. But it's really been quite wonderful to experience this place and get to know the local community a little bit through our engagement of the performances. And I do believe that the performers and Henri and Annabel are really responsible for uniting artists together with that local community on such an international level. Again, as a New Yorker, I would not have found myself in Martinique, and I'm delighted to be here.
My name is Nugent Smith. I think it's really important that FIAP is happening because it gives the opportunity for many artists, but artists such as myself especially, who are interested in Caribbean culture, heritage, customs, and politics. And it gives me the opportunity to explore these topics through making work, and specifically through making performance art. I understand that it's very difficult for artists who are living in the region to get exposure outside of here. And one of the reasons is because many curators and writers and such do not come to the Caribbean to do extensive research and spend significant amount of time with the artists. So what Annabel and Henri have created through FIAP is for these opportunities for the artists to get exposure. I've collaborated with one of the artists that live here right now, Marvin Fabian. After meeting him here in 2017, we have now had 3 opportunities for Marvin to travel outside of Martinique to be able to make work in collaboration. The seeds that have been planted and the benefits that have been reaped from this being only the 2nd edition cannot be measured at this point in time.